Welcome to the webinar, Fossil Fuel Lock-in and Resistance. Bienvenue tout le monde. Chalazi. I'm Christine Sonia. I'm the director of the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, the Nova Scotia office, and I am here in Halifax, Shabuktuk, unceded and unsurrendered ancestral land of the Mi'kmaq people. I am thrilled to be your initial host. This webinar profiles the highlights of the report that our office released yesterday in collaboration with the Corporate Mapping Project. You will hear more about that project, and we'll share a link for you to find more information about that in the chat. The report that was released is titled Mapping Fossil Fuel Lock-in and Contestation in Eastern Canada, and it is co-authored by Darren Brooks, Angela Carter, Emily Eaton, Eric Pinault, and JP Sapinski. And all of the authors are joining us today on the webinar. Lauren will put the links to the French and English versions of the report in the chat, and you can click those to see the full report. I do want to thank the authors for their tremendous work on this report. It's a report that's been many months in the making, and its release just so happens to coincide with the devastating forest fires occurring across this country. My heart goes out to all those who have lost their homes and been displaced. The fires, Hurricane Fiona, flash freezes, and all these adverse weather events are reminders of the urgency to act on the roots of the climate crisis. It's clear, as the report concludes, that now is the opportune moment to develop an Eastern Canadian vision of an alternative energy transition that supports Indigenous rights and sovereignty, protects and restores ecosystems, and also maintains the standard of living and dignity of fossil fuel workers. I would like now, and I have the pleasure and privilege to introduce Cheryl Maloney. Cheryl Maloney will be doing the Indigenous welcome for us today. Cheryl was born and raised in the Indian Brook First Nation, Sabanakadi district of the Mi'kmaq Nation. Cheryl is the daughter of the late Gloria Maloney, a residential school survivor, and the late Reg Maloney, longtime chief and treaty advocate. Cheryl is a mother and a grandmother. She has a unique and diverse background, contributing to a wealth of experience in the political and legal Indigenous community. She's participated on the ground in grassroots initiatives and also represented her nation at the international level on climate, food security, and species at risk. She's organized or contributed to initiatives at all levels of government and founded several successful initiatives, including the Jane Paul Center for Women and Girls, the Legal Strategy Coalition on Violence Against Women, and launched community-based research initiatives for 2 high-profile environmental issues in her territory. Over the years, Cheryl has held several key positions, including as president of the Nova Scotia Native Women's Association and as the National Director of Environment on behalf of the Native Women's Association of Canada. As a strong Mi'kmaq woman, Cheryl has a deep understanding of Indigenous history, treaty rights, and governance issues, and both modern and historical models of Indigenous governance. Balalan, Cheryl, over to you.
Thank you. That's a little bit longer. Thank you, for doing this work. And thank you for inviting me here to be a part of this work. I have my smudge bowl here and my feather. And I also have a little red oak tree. I gathered the acorns from the iconic Shubi tree. And I have 26 of these so far that have survived. But it's not lost on me, you know, as I'm growing these little babies, how devastating the losses from the forest fires are to our province and the territory of Mi'kmaq, the Mi'kmaq territory. I would like to acknowledge everybody here that is the authors of the work, the report that we're going to be looking at today, everybody who's joining us online, and I've seen the numbers come in, and it was really nice to see that people are interested and concerned about the territory, the Mi'kmaq territory, and that your work falls all on these provincial lines. One of the things I want to acknowledge, I know we often say my pronoun is, but in Mi'kmaq, there are no pronouns, and we are verb-based language, and we do not enter into a lot of labels. So when I refer to myself, it's Neen. I am Cheryl Neen. So I just want to acknowledge that. That's why I'm acknowledging who I am and who we are as Mi'kmaq people. And I think it's important to understand the language and the fact that we are verb-based, because we always see things as changing and evolving, and the land, the water, the trees, the rocks, the animals. I remember growing up hearing that we can hear the winds, and that the winds, we can talk to the clouds, we can invoke nature. And one of the things we did with the Alton gas resistance, the first thing we did, and actually here I am on the Sebago-Negative River, the Shubenacadie River, just down the road from the Alton gas site. And when we started in 2013, we knew nothing about this project that had 8 years going and pipes in the ground. So it was a really difficult, steep learning curve. And the tool that you guys are sharing with all of us today and all the hard work, it would have been so helpful to even have a clue of what they were doing down the road from our home. And, it was just residents and an elderly couple. Nobody knew what was happening in our territory. But as soon as something affects the water in Mi'kmaq territory, soon as something affects the water in our ecosystem, it's important to us. And we really appreciate taking a look at the territory and the ecosystem that we operate within. Something's beeping there, and I apologize. One of the most important things that we did to start any movement was a ceremony. And we went to both the church, there was the archbishop there and our local priest, and we all rolled into church with our eagle feathers and whatever else, and we asked for a blessing. I said, Father, we have to shut down the highway. Nobody knows what's happening in our territory. Nobody knows, even people that live on the river next to this project. We have to shut the highway down. Can you send us blessings? So the congregation and the priest blessed us to go out and shut down a road, a highway. And this was our first thing that we did to share knowledge. Then from there, we went and found our site on the side of the road, and we lit our first sacred fire. And we prayed to the water. And we continued to pray to the water. But I think some people thought it was really funny that we were going to church and lighting sacred fires, and then we were going to then step out and put our feet on the highway and exercise social activism, and risk all kinds of judgments and quickly judgments as Indigenous peoples and Indigenous resistance, or an Indian problem. And one of the things that we had to overcome was to ensure or share and educate Canadians and Nova Scotians that we are all treaty partners and we all share this land and we share this water. And it was so important to make sure that message was loud and clear before we could go on and do any more work. We had to build our allies and build up our knowledge base. And one of the things that was missing is a tool that you guys have developed. And we did it the hard way. It was very, very difficult. We had no clue what we were dealing with. We didn't understand the language. We didn't understand the laws. But I think it's really important that as Nova Scotians and Canadians, we do share this language and we do share the laws. We teach our language and our ways and our prayers and our ceremonies and Indigenous and Canadian laws. And in turn, we need these types of gifts that you guys have produced and shared. And I've been looking through it, and I can't say enough that how important it is to bring this work into Mi'kma'ki. So I would like to invite all of you and bless all of your deliberations today, so that this work, this gift is shared and that it flows with our waters, because that's where we follow the water. That water follows our food sources, and it also leads us to the work that we have to do, the protection of that water. And this little oak tree that I'm growing this little oak tree, and it just seems something so small, but it's so important, and it's so connected to us. It's so connected to the territory. It's connected to the water, the food sources. And I just really want to highlight how important and thankful we are that you are looking at Mi'kma'ki as a territory, as an ecosystem, so that we can move beyond these limits and jurisdictions that often hinder, Nova Scotians and Canadians and Mi'kmaq people from really doing the work that needs to be done, or even understanding the work that's happening around us. For that Alton Gas, with the little couple that was retired, they went to Cape Breton for a weekend, and they came back, and their whole bank and their view of the river was gone, and they built up these dikes, and they didn't know what was happening in their physical backyard. And that is true for most Nova Scotians at that time, especially for the Mi'kmaq community. The Mi'kmaq community, were supposed to be consulted, but didn't have any of that. So I just like to leave you all with some blessings. I smudged here for you guys this morning. I brought out some of the eagle feathers. They don't come out often, but I think it's really important to work. And I just want to say, Walalan, welcome to the territory. And once again, blessings for this important work that you're all doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cheryl, for your generous welcome. Thank you for sharing with us about your longtime effort to push back against fossil fuel development on your lands, long before many of us came to this work. And I just wanted to say a brief word that Indigenous sovereignty and anti-colonization practices are indeed central to this research, and we've been inspired by your resistance and the resistance of other Indigenous communities across the region that we're studying here. So panelists, I hope, are going to be saying more about that over the next hour or so. So thank you very much for being with us and for welcoming us and validating, seeing value in the work. We'd like to hear more from you about next things that might contribute to what you need in your community.
Perfect, thank you.
And thank you to everybody for making the time to be here today. My name is Angela Carter. I'm an energy transition specialist with the International Institute for Sustainable Development. I'm also an associate professor at the Department of Political Science and the Belsley School of International Affairs at the University of Waterloo. I'm a settler researcher from Uk'damukuk, which is the island of Newfoundland. That's the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. And I'm speaking to you today from here, from the island of Newfoundland. My work focuses on environmental policies and politics surrounding Canadian oil extraction, as well as new international approaches to climate policy relating to phasing out oil extraction. So thanks for being with us, and please feel free to reach out. In fact, I'm going to offer now panelists who are with us here who are going to be speaking. If you want to put your contact information in the chat, please go ahead and do that. And I'm going to do the same with mine now in a minute. I'm also a researcher with the Corporate Mapping Project, and this project has supported the report that we're launching today. The Corporate Mapping Project is a multi-year partnership that's co-led by Shannon Dobb, who's on the line here with us, the director of the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives in BC, so that's the CCPA, and Bill Carroll, professor of sociology at the University of Victoria. It was funded by the Government of Canada, so the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council, launched in 2015, across 30 researchers from around the country and internationally, with the CCPA offices in BC and Saskatchewan and the Parkland Institute in Alberta, as well as alongside and supported by various civil society and Indigenous groups and representatives. So project researchers through the Corporate Mapping Project have been conducting and disseminating research on the fossil fuel industry, how it's organized, who enables it, who benefits from it, how that sector is obstructing transition and climate justice. You can find out more about the CMP or the Corporate Mapping Project on the website. And Lauren is going to pop that into the chat there so you can get direct access right now. Corporate Mapping Project researchers shone a bright light on dark and hidden aspects of the fossil fuel sector in Canada and elevated the need for change in our public debates. But it has been very much focused on Western Canada, and that's, of course, makes sense because that's where most fossil fuel activity is located. Our report launching today is a first step in a new project led by Principal Investigator Jean-Philippe Sipinski, JP, and it's our attempt to explore the dynamics of fossil fuel activity and obstructionism in Eastern Canada, so from Quebec right on to Newfoundland and Labrador. We are so excited to share this work with you today. It is our initial step. It's our first output in this project. And so, as I mentioned to Cheryl, we're welcoming your comments on how to target our next research and our next engagement efforts. So please reach out to us, get in touch. Our plan for the next 45 minutes or so is that we're going to hear from the report authors and panelists in 2 rounds. The first is going to provide an overview of the report and outline the more provocative findings from the cases that we studied. And then the second round is going to give the report authors a chance to explore opportunities for amplifying success examples of contesting fossil fuel development. So what can we learn? What can we do next to create a more equitable, low carbon society? And, you know, are there opportunities here for cross-provincial collaboration, for example? Given the number of panelists that we have, we don't have time for a formal Q&A, but feel free to interact in the chat. And again, you've got some of the contact information for our panelists. So if you want to reach out to folks individually, please feel free to do that after the panel. So we're starting with JP Sipinski, our fearless leader on this project, who's going to walk us through the report's foundations. JP is an assistant professor of environmental studies at the Université de Moncton in New Brunswick. He is interested in how the structures of capitalism and corporate power shape our societies and the environment, and how we can transform and decolonize this relationship to make it more just and sustainable. He has published widely. Notably, he's the co-author of 2 important books, Organizing the 1%, How Corporate Power Works, and another on the perils of geoengineering. JP, over to you for a brief introduction.
Thank you so much, Angela. Yes, I'm speaking here from where I live in Mi'kma'ki, the town that's called Moncton. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. So as Angela said, we decided to focus on Eastern Canada for this work because, as we know, focus is always on the West, where the vast majority of oil and gas production takes place. But decarbonization and transition need to happen everywhere, all across Canada and everywhere in the world. And so it's important to know what infrastructure needs not to be built, and eventually know about what will become stranded assets in the medium to long term and be decommissioned in our area. And that's so we can prepare ahead of time. So we're talking about new electricity sources, new sources of good employment to replace all that fossil fuel system that we're deeply locked into. The main issue we've faced in the region since around 2010 is that, and that we still face today, is that some people want to expand fossil fuel extraction at all costs, despite so many well-known threats to the land, to the water, to the air, and all the living beings who dwell here, as well as to the global climate, of course. So this the story we're developing in the report is twofold. On the one hand, we're deeply entrenched in carbon lock-in in all eastern provinces. On the other hand, there's also a very strong movement opposing the lock-in and furthering transition in all provinces as well, led the vast majority of the time by Indigenous communities and groups. For the report, we're taking what we call a commodity chain approach. And you can see on the figure here, what we're talking about, we're looking at the whole chain of production of fossil fuels to look at, to capture what we mean by carbon lock-in. So when we talk about carbon lock-in, that's the state of dependency we're in. We talk about the technological aspect on the one hand, so the whole system of fossil energy that we know about. And there's also the institutional aspect. So how fossil energy production is organized socially, who benefits from it, what political mechanisms support the fossil fuel status quo. And so for this work, we looked at the infrastructure where, so the material sites where these technological and institutional aspects of lock-in really come together. That means the actual places where fossil production, transportation, refining, and consumption in the end take place. And we think that's important because if you look at provincial climate action, especially climate action plans, you see that the vast majority of the focus is on the consumption side, so the very end of the chain. So we look at reducing demand through energy efficiency, electric cars, and so on. That's very good, but this lets off the hook the rest of the chain, where fossil fuel producers are active, where they make their profits, and who can keep increasing production for export without these emissions being accounted for. That's exactly the plan of the federal government. We export more while we reduce consumption at home nationally. And the report also looks at the recent struggles. So many new carbon extractive projects have been proposed over the last 10 years. We identified 19 of them. Some are still on the table in the area, in total contradiction, of course, with all analysis. I'll just point out to the International Energy Agency, who say that no new infrastructure can be built if we are to meet national and global climate targets. It's also in line with common sense that we need to stop building new stuff if we want to get out of this lock-in situation. And actually, we need to leave about a quarter of the reserves that are already being exploited underground. So we need to decommission the existing infrastructure and not build more. The good news is that the majority of these 19 proposals have been blocked by very strong Indigenous and grassroots mobilization. And in some cases, this resistance to new projects, so this oppositional activism, has morphed into a movement for a just transition. And that's the movement that's pushing the decarbonization agenda forward. So I'll hand it over to Darren Brooks here, who will talk about how we map the carbon infrastructure and resistance to its expansion through the maps that he created.
And I would love to be able to say a quick welcome to Bill Carroll, who is here. I missed you, Bill. I'm so sorry. Bill's the other co-leader of the Corporate Mapping Project. I mentioned him, but I said Shannon was here. Didn't know that Bill was here as well. Sorry about that. And I also wanted to say Darren is the person, as JP is mentioning, who brought the report to life, to visual life with the figures. He's a faculty member and GIS post-diploma a faculty member in the GIS post-diploma program at the College of the North Atlantic, and he's a PhD student as well in the Boreal Ecology and Agriculture Sciences program at Memorial University's Grenfell campus here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So Darren, over to you.
Thanks, Angela. Okay, so we don't have a little bit of time, so JP, if I can impose on you to drive the slideshow for us, and we'll have a quick look at figures 2, 4, and 5 from the report. Figure 2, this was created to visualize the geographic spread of infrastructure. So this map shows the existing and proposed carbon lock-in infrastructure across Eastern Canada. You'll note the supply chain up at the top and the different colors of circles on the map. So the green dark circles are the existing infrastructure. The light green circles are new infrastructure.
Darren, just 1 second now. The map isn't being shown. Folks are noting in the chat that they can't see it. JP, do you have that slideshow still up? Yep. 1 second, folks. We'll figure it out for you so you can see.
I think JP froze.
Oh, that's why. Okay, so Joel, any chance? Joel is our fabulous tech person who's making wonders, magic happen in the background. 1 second, folks.
Yeah, sorry for that. My Zoom crashed. I'm
That's
back.
okay. All right. Would you mind
First time it
sharing?
happens.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's all good. Would you mind sharing the figures so Darren can chat through a couple of them?
Yeah, I need to have the sharing this enabled, Josh.
Okay, you just got the enabled,
All right.
the co-hosting enabled.
There we go. Sorry about that, Rich.
All right, Darren, please tell us.
Sure. I'm not sure how much of that, how much of my words match the map here, but we'll take a really quick step back just to show figure 2, created again to visualize this geographic spread of infrastructure across Eastern Canada, showing the existing and proposed carbon lock-in infrastructure. So the dark green circles are existing infrastructure in Eastern Canada. The light green circles are new infrastructure that's currently being developed, and the blue circles are new projects being discussed. The circles of most important to us really are the red circles, and these are the projects that have been canceled. And some of them are because they've been depleted, some of them have reached the end of their utility, but most of the reds are canceled because of strong resistance by civil society, often under the leadership of Indigenous groups. If you want to jump to figure 4 for us there, JP. This figure was created to visualize the economic aspect of carbon lock-in. So this figure 4, shows the global spread of shareholders who are tied to companies that own and operate existing infrastructure or proposed projects. This is essentially the money trail. And unsurprisingly, the largest circles intersect the locations of oil-based majors located in Calgary, Texas, large banks such as Toronto-based Royal Bank of Canada, CIBC, BlackRock in New York City, or billionaires like Li Ka-shing from Hong Kong. The challenge is that when fossil fuel projects are tightly coupled to large financial institutions like these, who in turn further fund exploration extraction with the profits, this contributes to the recipe for carbon lock-in. And then finally, figure 5 there, JP, if we could. Figure 5 shows the geographic spread of groups who oppose fossil fuel developments. And I believe we started from 2010 with this data. So again, we'd expect the largest concentration of resistance groups to be in large centers such as Montreal, Fredericton, Halifax. But you can see on this figure that there's also a broad spread of groups across Eastern Canada. The map illustrates how extractivism touches locations that are geographically separated from the infrastructure. You can see some of these green flashes are a significant distance away from some of the infrastructure. Pardon me, yet still there are some active resistance groups. I think in a nutshell, that's probably the description of figures as best we can do with the time that we have.
Okay, thank you very much. I just had a panic there because I was looking at the time that we had for the event in Halifax time instead of in Newfoundland time. And anyways, we're all good. All right, so next I would like to go back to JP actually, because we're going to chat about some of the case findings now. So we've got the overview of the report from JP, some of the figures from Darren. So now JP, back to you for your insights from New Brunswick and maybe a quick note on the PEI case, please.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, so if we look at the New Brunswick, what's been happening in New Brunswick? New Brunswick's considered a carbon dependent province. There's the largest refinery in Canada that's located in Saint John. That's also the largest private employer in the province. That's almost 3,000 jobs just at that site. A quarter of our electricity is from fossil sources, coal at the Belledune generating station, heavy oil at the Coulson Cove plant and 2 others. There's 32 fracking wells that are active near Penobscot in Sussex, and there are plans to add 30 more if our dear Premier gets his way. And a lot of residential heating is still dependent on oil or fossil gas. Politically, our government has played a strong part in lock-in in this province. They've taken strongly obstructionist stance, negationist stance, climate denialist. Premier Higgs allied with other conservative governments to try to repeal the federal carbon tax a few years ago. He lobbied to push back the retirement date of the Belledune coal plant. And he also partially lifted the moratorium on fracking in the Sussex area so that they're able to build more wells. And he's been pushing for the project to move forward since he's been in power in 2018. On the other hand, the provincial climate targets, there are targets, of course, but they are unambitious to say the least. The province seeks to reduce emissions by a mere 2.5 megatons between 2020 and 2030, which will happen automatically when the Belgian plant closes. The good news is that there has been and still is very strong mobilization against these fossil projects in New Brunswick. In the early 2010s, we had Indigenous Francophone and Anglophone groups that came together, a lot of them under the banner of the NB Anti-Shale Gas Alliance, to block exploration that was going on in many parts of the province. And the struggle made headlines across Canada and beyond in 2013 after protests in the Mi'kmaq community of Elsbuktuk turned to violent clashes with the police. In the end, this mobilization was so solid and sustained over many years as to bring in a new government who had no choice but to decree the moratorium on all fracking exploration and on new wells. That was in 2014, and that lasted until 2019. The same movement also mobilized against the Energy East pipeline that was finally canceled in 2017. And we know that actors are ready to respond every time a new proposal surfaces. That's what's been happening every time the Premier throws in something in the news about expanding fracking. Groups get together and say we're there, and there's no social acceptability for these projects. And interestingly, some actors in New Brunswick have been working cross-provincially as well as internationally, to support some struggles against, especially against the Goldboro LNG terminal in Nova Scotia, as well as the Galt shale oil project in Gaspésie in Quebec. Just a few words on PEI. I won't say much, not because they're not important, quite the contrary, because they have fared pretty well in terms of avoiding further carbon lock-in. There was also a large mobilization against fracking in the 2010s, led by No Frack PEI, that led to a moratorium on the island. And the moratorium was furthered into an outright ban on fracking in the revised Water Act of 2017. And the PEI governments seemed to be serious about transition. At least they were when the Green Party made up the opposition before the April election. And so they have targets of net zero energy by 2030 and net zero for the whole province by 2040. That's the most ambitious targets in Canada, I believe. So it's really worthy of noting. And I'll let my next colleague go ahead. Thanks.
Thank you very much, JP. See what we just made JP do? He had to do 2 cases in the same amount of time as everyone else is getting in English, his second language. So thank you, JP. So next, we'd like to welcome Emily Eaton to tell us about the Nova Scotia case. Emily is a professor of geography and environmental studies at the University of Regina. She's a settler researcher doing community-based research, teaching, and service devoted to addressing the climate and inequality crisis at local to national levels. Please check out her new and landmark co-authored book, The End of This World, Climate Justice in So-Called Canada. I hope, Emily, you can pop a link in the chat maybe for folks to explore. Emily's also a research associate of the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives in Saskatchewan. Emily, over to you.
Thanks so much. It's really a pleasure to be here. Angela asked us to, in this round, provide a little synopsis of our most provocative findings. And so I'm not going to give you a whole overview of the things that I found in the province of Nova Scotia, but I will reflect on a couple things because unlike my colleagues, I'm actually the only researcher on this project who is researching a territory that they don't have an intimate relationship with. So I'm an outsider studying fossil fuels and just transition, mostly in Saskatchewan, a province that's firmly locked into carbon extraction, and also fiercely defensive of its industry. So for me, one of the most interesting moments in my research was a number of the participants that I talked to, whether it was around the struggle against Alton Gas or the Goldboro terminal or fracking earlier on. Many of the participants that I talked to said that they received actually quite a bit of community support in their communities and that they experienced really low levels of backlash. And again, this applied to opposition movements, whether that was fracking, Alton Gas, or LNG. So this really told me that standing up to the oil and gas industry and for the protection of land and water does have a sort of baseline of support in Nova Scotia that might not exist in other areas of the country, and therefore, you know, sort of bodes well, I think, for the possibilities of transition. One participant that I interviewed suggested to me that to her, it was about keeping the door closed rather than trying to turn off the pipes to this industry. And said, this feels different than in other places in the country. And I think that's really significant. And although we did map some of the carbon extractive infrastructure that does exist in Nova Scotia, there is a real sense that the struggle is about keeping fossil fuels out rather than sort of kicking them out, as it is the case in many other areas of the country. And another thing that I'll mention right here is the leadership of the grassroots grandmothers. We heard from one of them already today in the opening, and really the ground of the Alton gas struggle in the Treaty of 1752. And here, including members of the grassroots grandmothers that I interviewed and other sort of more mainstream, we might call them settler-led environmental movements, were really transformed by this struggle and really came to understand the importance of the inherent rights of Mi'kmaq people and of all of our responsibilities under those treaties to protect territories and water against a company that was, you know, given provincial clearance to dump large amounts of brine into the Sapekne'gaddie River. Education about treaty rights was really central to that struggle, and it was shared with settler allies as the movement grew. And as I suggested, many settler environmentalists were profoundly transformed by the struggle, and it has sort of moved on to other areas of opposition to fossil fuel infrastructure, but also sort of visioning of the next or new economies, the future ahead. So thanks a lot.
All right, thank you very much, Emily, for digging into a case that was at one time unfamiliar to you, but now I think is becoming very familiar. I'd like to share a few points on what's happening in my home province of Newfoundland and Labrador. So Newfoundland and Labrador is the central province of fossil fuel extraction in these Eastern Canadian cases. Simply in terms of volume, the province is Canada's third largest oil producing province, and over 2 billion barrels of oil have been produced off the coast of the island of Newfoundland since 1997. And oil here looms very large in the cultural imagination. And a lot of this owes to, and this is what I was hearing from participants as part of this research as we were out doing interviews, a lot of this is owing to the timing of the industry's start. So oil production began just 5 years after the cod moratorium in 1992. And oil was actively framed as a way of saving the province that was struggling with longstanding poverty and what many called underdevelopment. And so oil was conceived of, imagined as a savior to the province. So not just in terms of economy, but really in terms of our ability to be here and cultural sustaining the culture of the place as well. Now, the sector has delivered significant economic benefits. Revenues to the province have been estimated at over 20 billion since 1997. Now, of course, the lion's share of the benefits has not gone to the province. They haven't gone to the province. They've gone more so to firms. And also the sector has accounted for a large proportion of GDP over time, sometimes reaching as much as 40% of GDP. And so given these impacts, the oil sector continues to dominate mainstream debates about the political and economic future of this place. But of course, these economic gains come at great emissions costs. Emissions from the oil sector are a major obstacle to meeting the province's emission reduction targets. The provincial government has committed to reduce emissions and to reach net zero by 2050, but it's highly unlikely to meet any of the targets it has set. Oil sector emissions represent about a quarter of the province's emissions, and they continue to rise as new projects come online. each of the offshore production sites feature among the list of the largest final emitters in the country. And yet, elected officials here downplay the emissions impact of the sector and instead claim that Newfoundland and Labrador's oil is somehow lower carbon, or it's green, or it's clean, or it's ethical. Moreover, major new projects are justified as necessary in order to fund the clean energy transition. So, there's a rhetoric here that more oil needs to be pumped out to get off of oil. So we can see that that is a contradiction in terms. So support for the oil sector is widespread among dominant political actors in this province, including key organizations in the labor movement who are arguing that offshore oil is the foundation of the economy and simply cannot be replaced. And so, seeking to extend those economic benefits, the provincial government is committed to double oil production by 2030. And to do so, it has offered, along with the federal government, a range of subsidies and streamlining of regulations to hasten exploration. So Newfoundland and Labrador is very locked in on to oil development. And while it might be hard to imagine a change in that status quo, what participants in this research have shared to me is that a shift is burgeoning right now. A shift is coming. In fact, there's been a fascinating new turn of events just recently, and I'm going to say more about that in the next round. So a bit of a cliffhanger for you. So now we're going to shift to our final province. We're going to hear from Eric Pinault and Melanie Bosby about national and globally unprecedented advances in the province of Quebec. Eric teaches ecological economics and social ecology at the Institute of Environmental Science at UQAM and economic sociology in its sociology department. He has also published widely on the political economy of extractive industries in Canada, focused on the tar sands and the Energy East pipeline. And like other report co-authors, he's partnering with civil society organizations to advance community struggles against oil and gas extraction and transportation. He's also focused on developing a new kind of society in Quebec focused on degrowth. Melanie holds a doctorate in biology and is a lead member of Quebec's Common Front for Energy Transition, and so was closely involved with the development of the roadmap for Quebec's transition to carbon neutrality as part of the Quebec ZEN, or Net Zero Emissions project. She's also active in various groups in favor of socio-ecological transition, as well as efforts to divest Quebec's Caisse de dépôt from fossil fuels. So Eric and Melanie, over to you.
Je vais m'exprimer en français. Est-ce que la traduction fonctionne?
I will be speaking in French. Can people hear the translation?
J'y vais. Donc, oui, bonjour, content d'être
So
avec vous
welcome. I'm
aujourd'hui. Je vais
pleased to
prendre
be
la première
with you
partie, puis
today. I'll
Eric
take the
enchaînera pour
first
les
part, and
deuxième
Eric
commentaire,
will
si j'ai
be
compris.
doing
Donc,
part two, if I
je vais
understood.
vous parler un peu du
I
lien
want
entre
to
la
talk
lutte
a little
contre
bit about
les
the
énergies
link
fossiles et puis
between
comment on est
against
en train de
fossil fuels
diriger vers une sorte de
and how
proposition
we're
pour la
trying
transition
to
socio-écologique au
move
Québec.
to a
Donc, quand en 2013,
socio-ecological
TransCanada est
transition.
arrivé au
In
Québec
2013, when
avec son
TransCanada
projet de
came to
pipeline
Canada with
Énergie
its
Est, il y avait déjà plus de
pipeline
130 comités citoyens
proposal, there were already 130
fracturation hydraulique.
committees that
Je
were
sais pas trop
organizing
pourquoi,
against
mais
fracking.
ils
I
avaient
don't
déjà
want
nos
to say
intérêts
what, but
assez énergisés. Il y
there
a des
was
comités qui
a
avaient
lot of
acquis
activity.
un regard
These were
critique sur
committees
l'industrie fossile et
that
puis
had
une
looked at
expérience de
the
résistance.
fossil fuel
Puis c'est dans
industry
ce
with a
contexte-là
critical
que
eye,
le
and
Fonds
it's in
commun
that
pour la transition
context that the
énergétique a
Common
été
Front for
fondé.
Energy Transition was
Donc,
founded.
au départ, il y avait des citoyens,
At
des
the
groupes
beginning, there were
environnementaux, puis
citizens
même
and
si
environmental
le groupe
groups,
était
and
fondé
even
pour
if the
lutter
group
contre
was
Énergie Est,
founded
c'est
to
tout de suite
fight
doté
against Energy
d'une
East, but
mission qui était de
it
rassembler des
adopted a
organisations
mission
pour
to bring
contribuer
together different
collectivement
organizations
à
to
la mise en
contribute
place d'une
collectively to the
transition.
implementation.
Pardon,
Melanie,
excusez-moi.
Oui.
But
Melanie,
we don't have the French to English translation.
we're not
Ok,
getting
This is what I'm being told.
French
Can you
to
just give me
English
one
translation.
moment?
Ok.
Pardon.
Moi, j'entends la traduction.
I am
Toi, tu
hearing
l'entends?
the transition,
Okay.
says
Are
JP.
there other people who are listening to the Okay, I'm seeing from others that it is working. Okay.
It is
Pardon,
working.
Mélanie, continue.
Ok, pas de problème.
Excusez-moi.
Carry on.
Donc, le groupe s'est doté d'une mission
So the group,
d'emblée
the group
de contribuer
took on as a
collectivement
mission
à
to
une
contribute
transition
collectively to a
énergétique structurante et
energy
porteuse de
transition that would
justice sociale.
taking into account social justice so far, there's about 85 organizations that are members. About half of them are citizens committees, and many were there at the time of the fight against Energy East, and also environmental NGOs, some that are well known, some less so. Unions, which have a lot of people who are members. So in total, the Common Front represents 1.8 million people in Quebec. So its members represent 1.8 million persons. There's also other organizations like community groups. So following the fight against Energy East and the victory, because we were able to win that, it wasn't just in Quebec, but they contributed. So we took on a project to work as a proposal for socio-ecological transition. So we called it the Quebec Zen Zero Net Emissions. And this was, we wanted at first to agree what we wanted as a transition. There's more than 190 people, members, non-members, university academics who contributed around 14 themes. There were many meetings on these 14 themes, and also some cross sector meetings to work that and to try to ensure a coherent approach and the transition that looked at the issues of lots of correspondence, emails to develop, end up with a text, 14 chapters, 180 pages, released in 2020, which talks about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, biodiversity, the social and political aspect of the transition. For each of the chapters, we do an overview of the current situation and look at where we'd like to be, where will we be in the future in a net zero Quebec, and how can we get that with a total of about 650 actions that are addressed to the governments, to the municipalities, the citizens, and the organizations. So that was the easy part. Imagine what might happen, but when we were asked, when we had to look at what we would do to make it happen, that was a little harder. It might be normal with as many themes for the transition and as many organizations that have different theories and change different tactics or that might be contradictory. So we had to take some time to think about all this. So we took a year to get some good financing to structure it and to do a strategic planning with our members, and that's where we're at now. I will close with that. We are working on 7 different areas of focus. So the work of strengthening it. There's one on inclusion, social justice, working in a closely with the Indigenous group, but working with youth. There's an area of focus, the transition in the workplace, some work that's being done on a territorial basis. We're supporting groups in different communities and soon to be 12, and then work to identify themes that will be the public transit and extraction, etc. There's still a lot of work to be done on the fight against the fossil. There's a group that's going to eliminate natural gas in buildings. The work is still going on. I'll stop here for now. Maybe we can follow up.
Okay,
I'll put the links in the chat. Thank you, Melanie.
Have the view from Quebec reflected here. So glad that we were able to work with folks in Quebec on this project. Okay, so we are now transitioning to the insight round or the new openings in these cases. I am cognizant of the time. We only have about 10 minutes left. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the same order we did, and each participant panelist is going to note just a couple of key opportunities for building on the successes that we see. And so let's start with JP, and then we'll go to Emily. I'll have a few comments, and then I think Eric will speak to Quebec. So folks can just go in rather than me popping in between everyone. Okay, so JP, to start with you.
Okay, thank you. Well, if we look at New Brunswick, our assessment is that there still is work to be done to prevent fossil fuel expansion. expansion in the province. As I said, fracking comes up in the news regularly as the Premier tries to push a new strategy to move ahead, despite getting a strong pushback each time. People also need to watch what happens with the as some transition is moving forward, because there is a strong push for transition in government and in industry. The issue is what kind of transition do we want, and what kind of transition, more importantly, will be effective. So we're looking at retiring the Belledune coal plant, and hopefully eventually the Coulson Cove heavy oil plant as well. As the coal plant is retired in 2030, and this is relevant for Nova Scotia as well, there will be plans to replace it with something else. The plans are right now to replace this production with mostly with nuclear. It relies on the promise of eventual small modular nuclear reactors that would allow to expand generation at the site of the existing LePro station at a we are being told at a low cost. Nuclear, of course, is highly problematic in terms of waste, we know that, but also because the economics don't make sense. So there would be some mobilization, and there are groups mobilizing right now to get that message out that nuclear does not make sense for transition. It is currently the most expensive way to generate electricity. And the new smaller reactors that we are promised say they will reduce costs, but this is reliant on them being mass produced, which is not very likely to happen according to independent studies in the US. There's probably not going to be any market for mass production of these reactors if the technology ever is up to scale. That will not happen before the 2030s at least, and we know the timelines are too short. So that's one point that I could identify in New Brunswick where activism can move forward. And second, well, there's been no announcement as to that, but there have been strong rumors in the province that the Belledune station could be converted to burn wood pellets. That's a very easy conversion to do. It could keep the plant going for a long time while eliminating coal use, which is the federal requirement. This would be very problematic because burning wood pellets in terms of direct emissions is comparable to burning coal in terms of climate impacts. Technically, and that's the selling point of the forest industry. Burning wood only releases carbon that was stored in trees as part of the natural carbon cycle. And that carbon will eventually be recaptured as new trees are planted that grow and so on. The problem is that we're talking to about a time scale of 70 to 100 years for that to be considered carbon neutral. Obviously, considering the climate crisis, we're looking at years to turn things around and not many decades. And so that's the second thing that could be on the radar of movements, and to just first of all to get information on where that is, that is going. And there's a third thing, I'll be quick on that, hydrogen. There's some hype in the province around the hydrogen economy. The Belledune Port director is very much into hydrogen production, producing green hydrogen, quote unquote, using small modular nuclear reactors for export. Hydrogen is closely related to the oil industry. It's already used in oil refining and chemical production. So it would be a quick transition for the oil and gas companies that are pushing that forward. They're very interested because it helps them decarbonize their oil production, which is what they're being asked to do by the federal government. So the danger is that renewable electricity that could go to help power transit systems, to heat homes and so on, could be directed to help produce more fossil fuels. So that would be very problematic indeed. So that's what we're facing in the province, and I'll leave it there. Thank you. Emily, on to you.
Great. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
So I'll jump in now for Nova Scotia, and I'll keep it quick. folks in Nova Scotia are really keeping their eye on coal phase out, which has been moved forward by the Houston government to 2030. And what people are concerned about is the possibility of that energy being replaced by natural or fossil gas generators. So that is something that will further lock in carbon extraction into the years and needs to be resisted vociferously. JP mentioned these all sorts of net zero plans, targets for emissions reductions. We see in Nova Scotia some quite ambitious ones, but we need to, as movements, keep our eyes on what's really happening with those targets. Are they being met? How can we hold government's feet to the fire on all of those targets? I'll say that I already covered sort of the importance and significance of the Alton gas struggle and the leadership of the grassroots grandmothers. Thinking about new modes of resistance and new solidarities in the province based on the protection of water. So an opportunity is to use the frame of water and land protection and the responsibility to each other that we have to each other in order to reframe struggles around climate change and energy transition, which are sometimes, too narrowly revolve around the language of greenhouse gases and other technological fixes. We also saw in the case of Nova Scotia that there's a lot more work that could be done around organizing across issues and moving from a sort of oppositional stance within social movements to fossil fuel infrastructure to the creation of alternative futures. So Melanie already spoke about the process that they went through in Quebec around this. And before the pandemic, some of this work started already. There was the 2030 Coalition, which I think was an excellent example, which brought together labor, environmental, Mi'kmaq, African Nova Scotians, and other groups to envision a just transition. So we're really thinking about those types of movements for Nova Scotia and also how we can connect across the region based on what's happening in other provinces. Because like JP already said, hydrogen is also an issue for Nova Scotia. In Nova Scotia's case, some proposals for it to be green using offshore wind. But yet the same caveats sort of apply that JP already talked about. So really, pooling our insights and initiatives across the provinces to ensure that our renewable transitions are, working on the right types of renewables and directing that power towards the right places. Thanks.
Thank you, Emily. So just a couple of minutes on Newfoundland and Labrador, and then turn it over to Eric to close us off on Quebec, the case where a lot of hope, we're seeing a lot of hope from that case. And even in Newfoundland and Labrador, I would argue, I'll just make 2 points here, that we have some evidence that the fossil fuel lock-in is potentially unlocking. And that signal of change is coming from shifts around Equinor's Beta Nord project. So 2 things here. One is that for the first time in Newfoundland and Labrador's 25-year history of offshore oil development, there's been coordinated local opposition with support from national movement actors to this project. And in fact, now there was very successful mobilization against fracking in the early 2010s, but this is very much directed towards the offshore, which is quite new. There's also been a lawsuit that Ecojustice filed on behalf of Équiterre and the Sierra Club of Canada, as well as a nonprofit organization that included the 9 Mi'kmaq communities in New Brunswick, contesting federal approval of the project, given the government's failure to consent, as well as a failure to consider downstream emissions. So finally, we have these concerns about Indigenous rights and sovereignty and climate that are really coming to the fore with this project through the courts. And meanwhile, we do have a burgeoning call from community groups for a just transition more broadly away from oil dependence. The second thing, and this just happened, in the last few days, is that Equinor recently decided that due to high costs and market volatility, it's going to be postponing the Beta Nord project for 3 years. And this is really momentous because this project was poised to extend oil development into a new era and usher in a new, into a new area, a new region, and usher in a new era of expanded production. So, this is a 1 billion barrel of 1 billion barrels of oil that we're talking about with this project. It was going to continue until 2058. And just prior to the project being postponed, a Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers representative underscored the importance of this project and saying, you know, the oil sector was waiting anxiously to hear what the outcome of the project was going to be because investment in the sector depended on Bay du Nord proceeding. Otherwise, it was going to stagnate. And so maybe what we're seeing here is the start of a downward inflection point for Newfoundland and Labrador's oil sector. Perhaps we can dare to hope that we're in a moment of change. So over to Eric on Quebec.
Yeah, just a small word though on the Quinault decision. You know, looking at the struggles in Quebec and elsewhere in Eastern Canada, the economics were always our ally, but we were also always that little extra pushing force that made the economics much more difficult for the projects to go through. I love the German anti-extraction movement. One of their slogans is, "We are the market risk." And I think that's an important thing to realize, is that often adding that extra resistance really changes the economics of projects. So in Quebec, rapidly, I'm going in English, and yeah, I guess the translation in French, but we are at a point where now we are in a debate on our energy future, and there are clearly two visions that are coming and be confronted in this debate, and which will shape the transition in the years to come. There's one which is based on energy expansion, so expanding. So yes, moving away from fossil fuels, and I think that's kind of a given in Quebec, but expanding energy consumption, and more there's from civil society organizations, but inside also are different coalitions, which include trade unions and community organizations. There is more and more an approach in terms of energy descent. So using less energy, phasing out some energy needs. In this debate, this position is that efficiency is not enough, and that we need some form of sufficiency, energy sufficiency, which implies profound and deep transformations in our economic arrangements, in our social arrangements, in our culture, and our politics. So I think this energy struggle and this transition, the struggle over the shape of the transition, is a proxy for a wider debate on the type of economy we want in the future, and for a wider debate around, do we want a progressive future, or do we want a more aggressive society with inequality and a neoliberal and capitalist economy? The large coalition, energy descent, descent as in going down, not descent as in, though it does create descent. But in French, it sounds very good, la descente énergétique, just going down. You know, we climbed up this hill of energy consumption in the last 50 years, and now somehow we can jump. That could probably hurt us pretty bad, or we can find a way to clamber down in solidarity and in some form of order. The large coalition movement that came out of the struggles is very useful for this new framing of the debates. And we've been able to keep this coalition together and attack various aspects of this debate. One is the gas. We're trying to get gas and shut gas out of Quebec. So that's an important aspect. We're also mobilized on hydrogen, and we're also, and I think this is important, energy expansion or energy sufficiency to make use. Also has very important implications for our alliances with First Nations or First Peoples. Because if we go into energy expansion, this expansion clearly is going to be on territory that is lived on and that has important cultural and political implications for different First Peoples. I'm thinking of the Innu in particular, the Cree also, but all other nations. And so I think they will be the first impacted once again, like in the 60s and 70s, if we go into this so-called clean energy, which is by building up large dams and flooding huge tracts of the boreal forest. So the debate is also an opportunity for us to strengthen an alliance in Quebec that wasn't as strong as elsewhere in Eastern Canada between First Peoples and between the more colons, as we say in French. We don't use settler in French. We don't have the word, actually. We use colon, which directly refers to colonization, to the people that came inside the colonial moment in Canada's or Quebec's history. So there's this opportunity for an alliance, sorry. And finally, last aspect, and I'll stop there. There are also new extractive struggles that are tied to this transition, because if we do go all in to energy expansion with decarbonized energy, we will have to mine a lot of the territory to get materials needed for this transition, either different minerals. And this will also lead to a bunch of new struggles. So we're ready for these struggles. I think that's where we are in Quebec right now. It's not a question anymore of trying to push out oil. It's a question of trying to shape the transition that's coming.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing all of this in such rapid form as well. That was a lot to be able to compress in just a couple of minutes. We are having to close here. As I mentioned at the beginning, there's so many panelists, it was really hard for us to continue with a big question period, but you've got all of our contact information. So please reach out to us if you have questions or comments. And again, I'll say that this is an ongoing project and we're going to be continuing this work for the next 2 or 3 years. So any ideas that you have about improving the research, honing it, redirecting it, research or engagement efforts, please reach out to us. So a huge thank you to my fellow panelists and to the great team at the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives and the Corporate Mapping Project for hosting this event. It's been a real pleasure to be with you today. Thanks for taking some time.